Once, Las Vegas promised $50 rooms, free parking, and $5 blackjack tables to millions of middle-class visitors. Today, the Strip's corporate owners, under pressure from billion-dollar real estate investment trust leases, chase record profits with $60 resort fees and $25 minimum bets, driving away the same guests who made Vegas boom. Now foot traffic is plunging, casino floors echo empty, and the city's value gamble is backfiring. So how did Las Vegas price out its own backbone, and can it ever win those guests back? For decades, Las Vegas built its reputation on accessibility. A road trip from Los Angeles or Phoenix meant a room on the Strip for $50 or $60, no strings attached. Free parking was standard, whether you stayed at the Mirage or a budget joint like Circus Circus. The city's promise was simple. Anyone could afford a few nights of escape, even if their wallet was not thick. Families from the Midwest packed into station wagons, retirees booked 3-night getaways, and groups of friends split rooms without worrying about surprise add-ons. The deals did not stop at the hotel desk. Casino floors buzzed with $5 blackjack and craps tables, even on weekends. It was not just about gambling either. Buffets offered all-you-can-eat spreads for $10 or $15, and a $20 bill covered dinner and a drink. The real draw was how long your money lasted. A modest bankroll stretched over hours at the tables, thanks to low minimums and player-friendly rules. Casual players could sit down with $20 and play hand after hand, soaking in the energy of a packed pit. Comps were everywhere. Free drinks, discounted meals, the occasional room upgrade. Floor managers handed them out, eager to keep guests on property. For many, the trip became an annual tradition. The cost of a Vegas weekend felt lower than a single night out in San Francisco or Chicago. Parking always came with a smile and a wave, never a ticket or a charge. It is a rhythm that regulars still remember. One former visitor from Bakersfield describes arriving late on a Friday, finding a $59 room at the Flamingo, and walking straight into a lively $5 blackjack game. The casino was full of locals, tourists, and families, all spending small amounts over long stretches. The sense of welcome was real. Vegas was not about exclusivity or luxury. It was about volume, filling rooms, keeping tables busy, and letting the middle class feel like high rollers for a weekend. The city's formula relied on high foot traffic, not high prices. Every amenity, from parking to buffets, reinforced the idea that Las Vegas was a place where your money went further than anywhere else. By 2016, Las Vegas stood at the height of its mass market era. The Strip welcomed nearly 43 million visitors that year, according to the Las Vegas Convention and Visitors Authority. Most came for 3 or 4 nights, drawn by a formula that made every dollar stretch. Buffets lined the casino floors, offering everything from prime rib to crab legs for the price of a fast food meal. The all-you-can-eat model wasn't just a tradition, it was a strategy. Operators accepted razor-thin margins on food, knowing those cheap, endless spreads would keep guests on property and in the action. Comps were more than a marketing tool. For the average gambler, a few hours at the tables could mean free drinks, a discounted dinner, or a surprise room upgrade slipped across the counter by a friendly host. Loyalty programs rewarded regulars for even modest play, sending out mailers packed with free nights and show tickets. The casino floor became a second living room for millions of middle-class visitors, who returned year after year, confident they would be treated like insiders. Crowds surged during peak weekends. Bachelorette parties, retirees, and families packed the lobbies and buffets. On a busy Saturday, lines for the Bellagio or Mirage buffets stretched out the door. A family of 4 could eat their fill for less than the price of a single steak at a celebrity chef restaurant. The value proposition was clear. The longer you stayed, the more you got for your money. That is why the average visit ran 3 or 4 nights, not just a quick stopover. The volume-driven model worked because it was built on scale. Casinos did not need every guest to be a high roller. Instead, they relied on steady traffic, millions of small bets, thousands of buffet covers, and a constant churn of guests checking in and out. Each perk, from the comped breakfast to the generous pour at the bar, was designed to keep visitors on site and spending. The Strip's success depended on making the middle class feel like they belonged, not just during a boom year, but every year. This approach defined the city's identity. The mass market visitor was not just a number, they were the backbone. In 2016, the Strip's nearly 43 million visitors were not chasing luxury. They came for the sense of abundance, the promise that even a modest budget could unlock a weekend of fun, food, and entertainment. For decades, that bargain kept the city full and the casino floors humming. Parking on the Strip used to be an afterthought. That changed in 2016 when MGM Resorts introduced paid parking at its properties, charging guests up to $23 a day. Within months, Caesars and others followed. For the first time, visitors pulled up to familiar garages and were greeted by kiosks and payment screens. What had been a simple perk became a new line item on the bill, and complaints spread quickly. For a family staying 3 nights, parking alone could add $60 or more to the tab, before tips or valet fees. The sticker shock did not stop at the curb. Resort fees, once a minor nuisance, ballooned to $40, $50, sometimes even $60 per night by 2024. These fees are non-negotiable, attached to nearly every room on the Strip, whether you use the gym or the Wi-Fi or not. A $150 nightly rate now means a $210 final bill after resort fees and taxes. For many, the advertised price and the final total feel worlds apart. Travelers planning a long weekend find the cost of a basic room, with fees and parking rivaling what used to buy a suite. On the casino floor, the math changed just as dramatically. Table minimums that hovered at $5 or $10 for decades are now a rarity. By 2024, most Strip casinos post weekday minimums of $25, even in the middle of the afternoon. On weekends or during events, $50 or even $100 minimums are not uncommon, especially at marquee properties. The days of stretching a modest bankroll over hours at the tables are gone. A casual player with $100 can burn through it in a handful of hands, often facing worse odds than before. The classic $5 blackjack table, once the heart of the Strip's energy, has all but vanished. Dealers who once thrived on packed pits and steady tips now watch empty seats linger through slow periods. A longtime dealer at a mid-tier property described the shift. "We used to see groups of friends laughing and playing for hours. Now people walk by, see the minimums, and keep moving. The tables are quiet and our tips are down. Even food and drink have climbed out of reach for many. Buffets that once fed families for $15 now charge $50 or more if they have reopened at all. Simple cocktails at casino bars routinely top $20. The cumulative effect is a city that feels less accessible at every turn. Each new fee or minimum chips away at the sense of abundance that made Las Vegas a magnet for the middle class. Guests still come, but they stay for shorter visits and spend more time weighing every purchase. The surface of the Strip looks the same, bright lights and packed marquees, but for many, the experience has changed fundamentally. What was once a playground for all now feels engineered for those willing to pay a premium at every step. Casino earnings calls are a study in coded language. Executives avoid talk of crowds or comps, instead repeating phrases like yielding room rates and optimizing RevPAR. The shift is intentional. Over the past decade, companies like MGM Resorts and Caesars have transformed their business model, locking in high prices regardless of how many people fill the casino floor. The catalyst was a wave of real estate deals. In 2022, MGM sold the land and buildings beneath Mandalay Bay, MGM Grand, Park MGM, and other Strip resorts to Vici Properties, a real estate investment trust. The sale was worth $17.2 billion and delivered MGM a massive cash infusion. but it came at a cost. MGM now pays VICI about $2.5 billion in annual rent, with a 2% escalator built in. The Bellagio alone starts at $250 million per year, increasing by at least 2% each year. Mandalay Bay and MGM Grand together owe nearly $300 million. Caesars master lease with VICI is another $2 billion a year, indexed to inflation and locked in for decades. These are not costs that shrink when business slows. MGM SEC filings call them significant fixed rent obligations. Caesars warns investors that their master lease requires a substantial portion of cash flow just to keep operating. If visitor numbers fall or spending dips, the rent bill stays the same. Operators cannot simply slash prices to fill rooms. Instead, they are forced to extract more from each guest, raising average daily rates, adding resort fees, and cutting back on low-margin perks. This logic is everywhere in investor calls. Executives celebrate pricing power and premium mix. They talk about driving strong RevPAR growth and trading some occupancy for rate, meaning they will let rooms sit empty if it means charging more for the ones that fill. The focus has shifted from filling the casino to maximizing revenue per visitor. It is not about volume anymore. It is about yield. Industry analysts see the lease structure as the engine behind this approach. With billions in fixed rent due every year, casinos have little reason to chase low-spending guests. When costs are locked in and rising, price is the only lever left. That is why table minimums, resort fees, and menu prices keep climbing, even as visitor numbers soften. The rent obligations are contractual and unyielding. As one analyst put it, once you sign a 25-year lease with annual escalators, you cannot afford to go back to $5 tables and free buffets. The pressure is not just about profit, it is about survival. Even as complaints grow and casino floors look emptier, strip prices remain high. The contracts demand it. Numbers tell a story that is hard to ignore. In the first half of 2025, the Las Vegas Strip counted 19.1 million visitors, a 7.3% drop from the previous year. That decline accelerated in June, falling to an 11.3% year-over-year loss. Strip foot traffic measured by sensors and mobility data is down over 10% compared to the start of the decade. Hotel occupancy sits below 80% for the first time since the pandemic reopened the city. On paper, these are just percentages. On the ground, they translate into empty seats at blackjack tables, shorter lines at what buffets remain, and a new quiet that settles over the casino floor during hours that once buzzed with energy. For workers, the fallout is immediate. Dealers at mid-tier properties describe stretches of slow business, with fewer players sitting down and even fewer sticking around. A veteran dealer at Flamingo remembers when a busy Saturday meant a packed pit and steady tips. Now she says that people walk by, see the $25 minimum, and just keep moving. We are lucky if a table fills up before midnight. Tips that were once reliable have grown unpredictable. Cocktail servers and bartenders tell the same story: fewer guests, shorter stays, and less money left on the tray. For many, a shift that once brought in $200 in tips can end with half that amount or less. The Culinary Workers Union, representing tens of thousands on the Strip, tracks these changes closely. Union representatives point to reduced hours and thinner schedules, especially in roles tied to volume, buffet servers, housekeeping, and entry-level dealers. The union reports a clear pattern: as guest counts fall, management cuts back on shifts and leans harder on skeleton crews. Some workers pick up second jobs. Others wait for hours that may never return. Even the city's official metrics reflect the new reality. The Las Vegas Convention and Visitors Authority notes that average length of stay is shrinking and repeat visitation rates are down. Guests are more likely to walk the casino floor without gambling or to spend a single night before heading home. For the people who keep the Strip running, every empty seat and slow shift is a reminder that the city's old formula, volume, and value, and steady work has given way to something less predictable and a lot less generous. This is not a fluke. It is a pattern with consequences. Shorter stays, fewer repeat trips, weaker tips, and thinner staffing. The stakes are real for service workers and for neighborhoods that depend on steady employment. And for visitors who remember Las Vegas as an annual tradition, the city now feels like a place you visit once in a while, not a place you count on. A family from Des Moines, once regulars on the Strip, now faces a simple calculation. A 3-night Vegas trip for 4, including airfare, room, fees, parking, meals, and a show, climbs past $2,800 before a single bet is placed. The same family can cruise the Caribbean for $2,000, with food and entertainment bundled in. For many, the value equation that once made Las Vegas irresistible no longer adds up. Travel agencies and online forums are full of stories of former Vegas loyalists choosing cruises, all-inclusive resorts, or regional casinos instead. The Strip's own data reflect the shift. The average visitor household income now approaches $100,000, up from $83,000 6 years earlier. Middle-class budgets, once the backbone of the city, are increasingly absent from the casino floor. Executives at the major resort companies know the numbers, but the logic inside the boardroom is hard to escape. Rent obligations, locked in by long-term leases with real estate investment trusts such as Vici Properties, rise automatically each year. For MGM and Caesars, these fixed costs run to nearly $2.5 billion and $2 billion a year, respectively, with annual escalators built in. The contracts do not shrink when rooms go empty. Instead, management incentives are tied to metrics like revenue per available room, also called RevPAR, and EBITDA margin. Proxy statements for MGM and Caesars show executive bonuses weighted 50% or more toward these short-term financial targets. Lowering prices to lure back the middle class would ding quarterly results and risk shareholder backlash. So the Strip sticks to its script. Room rates remain high, resort fees stay put, and table minimums rarely retreat. When visitor numbers slip, companies respond with targeted discounts, often off-strip or midweek, rather than a broad rollback. The incentive structure rewards extracting more from each guest, not bringing back the thousands who once filled the floor. For operators, the risk of resetting prices downward outweighs the pain of thinner crowds. No one wants to be the first to blink, especially when executive pay depends on holding the line. Industry analysts describe a city caught in a standoff with its own past. The cost of a Vegas weekend now matches or exceeds alternatives that offer more for less. The Strip's fixed rent model locks in high prices, while compensation plans push management to chase short-term yield over long-term loyalty. As a result, the middle-class visitor, once the heartbeat of Las Vegas, has little reason to return. The Strip is left waiting, hoping that the next wave of guests will spend more, stay longer, and accept the new normal. For now, the reset remains stalled, the casino floor quieter than anyone wants to admit. Today, casino floors echo with fewer footsteps as middle-class travelers weigh $60 resort fees against new destinations. Corporations bet on high margins, but visitor numbers tell a different story. Occupancy is down, and loyalty is eroding. The Strip's future now hinges on whether boardrooms value short-term profit over lasting connection. Vegas is not vanishing, but it is changing, and the stakes have never been clearer. What do you think? Can Vegas win back its heart?